I have to stretch so much more.
So much more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be able to just get on the field, be like, oh, okay, I'm ready. It
Yeah.
was like, oh,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
Right. You have to warm
Before
up.
and after. Yeah.
Yeah, after is crazy
Mhm.
too, because I used
Mhm.
to, if I'd go to an exercise class or whatever, and be like, oh, okay, it's the stretch afterwards, whatever, and I just head home. Now, if you don't do the stretch after, it's like your muscles are just getting tighter and tighter and tighter as
Oh,
the hours go
yeah.
by.
The next day you're like, oh my God, I can really feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole new
Now
world.
I'm all about the warm up and the cool down. I don't skip them. Yep, that's what it's like getting older, everyone. So, Natasha and I chit chat a little bit about our muscles and getting older, and then we talk about the importance of saying no, coming up with boundaries, and also some tips on how to establish boundaries for yourself on the next Harness the Power of Planning podcast coming up now.
Hello, I'm Natasha.
I'm Allegra.
Together we are BYWD, or Beyond Your Wildest Dreams.
And our goal is to help you avoid burnout, save time and energy by prioritizing yourself and your goals.
That is what we're all about. And one of those ways is to help us find our values and set some boundaries.
Yeah, so today's topic, if you've been following in Instagram, you can see what our topics are. And today's topic is about the value of saying no, the importance of saying no. But before we get into that, we always like to have a little bit of chit chat, some coffee clutch. I have coffee today. I don't always have
Oh,
coffee.
yeah, you have coffee today?
I
All
know.
right, sister. I have my husband's Papa Bear mug. I should get a Mama
Natasha
Bear
gets
mug.
excited because I don't always have coffee and she loves coffee. And so today I'm sharing her love of coffee.
I mean, some would say that I have a problem with it, and I just think it's not a problem. Like
It's
it's
just
not a,
love.
although like I do have to say, like, I used to be able to drink coffee past noon
Hmm.
and then still have an okay, like have a fine night's sleep, no problem.
Can't do that anymore.
Not so much yesterday. Oh wow, you can really tell that I put sunblock on that was like white, and I'm like super pale. I could see. Um, yeah.
It got stuck in your hair.
No, I just had like a white line still here.
Oh,
I still look pretty pale. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, I'm trying a new thing today where I'm just gonna be like, no coffee after 12 noon. Yeah, because it used to not affect me at all. Like I drink it at like 4 in the afternoon and be like, no problem.
yeah.
But I had a hard time falling asleep last night. So
Mm.
yeah, so not the best. So just trying
No,
to be.
your chemistry changes, man. And it's so,
Does.
and look, if you're not in your 40s yet, just know that there's this period of time between, let's say, 20 and 40, where you're just kind of stable
Yes.
and you're
Yes.
stable for 20 years. And then all of a sudden things start changing and you're like, what's
Yeah,
going
right?
on?
Like your period starts changing, like
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, I always do this." Like for forever, I would like get a warning cramp and I'd be like, "I got 5 minutes to get a pad on." Like, and that was basically my PMS. So don't be mad at me, but that was literally, except though my husband would say that I was kind of bitchy. But but in general, like I get a zit the day before, you know what
Right.
I mean? Like, and I'm like, "Oh, it's coming," and then I get a warning cramp and then, I had, and man, that has changed. But
Yeah.
even before, I mean, obviously that happens during perimenopause, but like you said, even before that, even before I really entered perimenopause, things are just different.
I mean,
You're
I just
ready.
know that I am so like I get dehydrated so much
Mm,
easier now. It
yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
pound water. And like that's a big one. And then like maybe it's related to the needing to pound water, but I also get muscle cramps a lot easier. And so I have to make sure that I'm taking tons like magnesium. I have to take magnesium like crazy.
Mhm.
And yeah, just changes.
Yes, totally. And like, y'all, I joined an old lady soccer club, so I like to call it. And Alegre will come in and play sometimes, which we haven't actually played yet together, which is so crazy. But like I play and I just play however I play. And then later on, I'm just like, oh, I kind of hurt myself a little bit. And those things that used to be like, oh, I just like scraped my knee or whatever, that used to like heal really quickly, I'm finding like doesn't heal in the time that I'm expecting it to. I'm just like, oh, that'll be fine in 2 days. And it's like 5 days and it's still kind of there. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like, and I'm just
mhm.
like, what is going on? Yeah. So I get to do more, you know, somebody was just like, you just got to do more like hot, cold to help increase circulation is really what there was someone was telling me to do. So, yeah, like,
Interesting. Well,
yeah,
that's
like
the cold plunge, right? The cold
the
plunge
cold
is so
plunge.
great.
Yeah, the cold plunge situation. Yeah, that
And
just
also
increasing
stretch. I have to stretch so much more.
so much more. Yeah, I used to be
Yes.
able to just get on the field, and be like, oh, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
It was like, oh
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
Right. You have to warm
Before
up.
and after. Yeah.
Yeah, after is crazy
Mhm,
too, because I used
mhm.
to, if I'd go to an exercise class or whatever, and be like, oh, okay, it's the stretch afterwards, whatever, and I just head home. Now, if you don't do the stretch after, it's like your muscles are just getting tighter and tighter and tighter as
Oh,
the hours go
yeah.
by.
The next day you're like, oh my God, I can really feel it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole new
Now
world.
I'm all about the warm up and the cool down. I don't skip them. And also, for those of
Yeah.
you who have been following us,
Ooh, how's it
2024
going?
is the year of me working on opening up my shoulders because I've noticed that they have become uncomfortably tight, and I notice that they are opening up a little bit. So
Awesome.
just every morning and every night, I've been doing some real purposeful shoulder stretching. My
Ooh,
goal is
everybody now.
to get both sides to be able to touch
Yeah. Ooh, this side
because
is way less for this way side
yes,
is so
one
much
is way,
further away.
and I'm guessing is it your right side that's tighter?
I think so because I can't get my right hand up as
Yeah.
high as I
So
can
I'm
my
the
left.
same thing. Maybe it's because
Why
it's our
is that?
dominant hand, so
Yeah,
we
and we
do
use
more
it
with
more.
it, and that muscle's
Oh.
tighter. So I used to be able to get both hands to touch back in the day. And then
Oh yeah, I
I
can get my left hand up much higher in the
yes,
back.
me too.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, yeah.
And actually
All
they're
right.
almost touching. So that's an improvement over the new year. So this is how look,
Not
it's
happening.
it's
Yeah.
already it's almost been 3 months. It is slow going, people,
Mhm.
but I know it's only going to get tighter.
Right, if you
So
don't do anything or
if
if you
you
do it
don't
yeah,
do anything, yeah. So this is how you maintain your health. Is just these
right.
teeny little practices every day that just become a habit. Last night I was doing my stretching and my husband's like, "Why are you making those noises?" Because he was already asleep with his eye mask on. And I'm doing my skincare. And while I'm letting, in between my skincare, I'm doing these stretches and I'm like, oh,
You're like,
oh.
"'Cause it hurts, 'cause everything hurts."
But that's what
It
it's just
feels good
those
though too.
little habits that, at this point, I barely even notice I'm doing it because I've been doing it now for almost 3 months, where just, in the morning as I'm doing my skincare, in the evening as I'm doing my skincare, I stacked it with my
You have
skincare.
it stacked it, girl, right?
I
Because you
have
have
it stacked it.
in between your steps, you have to wait a little bit, right? To, like,
Yes,
let things
exactly.
absorb. Might
Exactly.
as well fill that with stretching.
Yes. And I also
Yes.
do face yoga, but now I've just kind of added on. So now my each step gets to just sit there for even longer. And if you're
Good.
wondering what the heck we're talking about,
What the
I'm
heck are we
sure we've
talking about?
talked about habit stacking on an episode. I don't have it
For
at
sure.
my fingertips,
But
so
we
you'll
should put
have
it in the
to,
notes. We definitely have talked about habit stacking, and that
yeah,
just the basic thing is you want to try something new, find a way to attach it to something you're already doing. Like this is a great
absolutely.
example, perfect example. Allegra's already doing a skincare routine. She just inserts her
My
stretching
new
into that.
stretching. So,
Yeah.
so for those of you who are watching us live on the socials, we put this recorded audio up onto our podcast. It will be up by on Spotify, it'll be up the same day. Everywhere
Mhm.
else, it'll be up the following day, and you can listen to us on the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. So you can get the audio if you just want to hear the audio. And yes, I'm sure we have one where we've talked about that, but we also have something really excited that's going to be coming out soon, which is Natasha and I have recorded a new 1 hour on-demand workshop called Seize the Day with Skincare, or not Seize the Day with Skincare, Seize the Day.
I was like, we did.
I I am
I
clearly
was like,
all
I
about
don't. I was like, was I there for that? Because I don't remember.
I just single-handedly decided to change the name, Natasha. Now
The
you
purpose
know.
of our company now is to get you to prioritize your skincare, which,
Well,
well,
sometimes
kind of sometimes
that's
yes,
that's valuable. There's a lot to be
it
said
is
about,
valuable.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh, there's so much interesting science coming out about how your skincare can actually help determine your overall level of health in other areas too.
I believe that it's the biggest organ in your body,
It's the
right?
biggest organ in your body. It's your
Hmm.
first defense against
Yeah.
things.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Well,
we
I
digress.
love skincare. If you followed us, you know I love skincare. I have one of these like 20-step regimens that takes
I
up half.
aspire to her level. I'm like 5 max. That's at night. In the morning, it's really 2, but if I don't, 1 is just sunblock. At the very least, if I don't do anything else, it's sunblock.
So anyway, it's going to
Yeah,
be coming out soon. Seize the day with self-care. Infuse your day with energy and confidence with a morning ritual. So we're very excited that's going to be coming out soon. So stay tuned for
so
that.
very exciting. Yeah. And
Yes.
it's just like the next level stuff. If you've been with us before, you know that we have a book that's based around that idea called Rock Your Morning. And it's a
But this is
variation.
next
This
level.
is next level. Yeah. This
And
is
we're
like
going to have to re-edit and rebrand our book because, we wrote that book now 2 years ago.
mhm.
So we've taught this workshop many times now, in person and virtually, and we've fine-tuned it to the point where we feel like, bam,
Bam.
it is
Mhm.
ready
Yeah, to
for
the 2.0.
yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
we've had more experience, and we've also just there's new science that's come out around things
There
like that.
is
So
there's
yeah,
really exciting new science, but that none of that has to do with the importance of saying no. So let's get back to
right.
the importance of
Let's
saying
get to the
no.
importance of saying no.
Let's get to the importance of saying no. So, Natasha and I, you may have heard of say that in our society, women are applauded and even encouraged to sacrifice ourselves on the altars of our family,
Hmm.
whether that's the family we've married into or that we were born into or a family by choice. It doesn't matter. The reality is a lot of times we're the shock absorbers when something unexpected happens.
Hmm.
And Natasha and I've definitely been there. We definitely know what that feels like. And I actually spoke a couple weeks ago about my second burnout experience
Mm.
and where I was sacrificing myself on the altar of my work family. And the two people above me had left the jobs, and I was asked to pick up the slack. And I said, sure, of course. And I didn't realize what I was giving of myself in order to make this upper management person's life easier. And the thing was, I ended up bedridden with a herniated disc, 8 millimeter herniated disc. And I had physical therapy for months to recover from that. But what I really learned from that experience was that I did not know how to say no. Because, no one offered me any assistance in the form of like an intern or support staff. Was I offered more money? No. Was I offered the position? No. But I also didn't ask for any of those things.
Hmm.
So really it was on me. I mean, sure, I could say the upper management
Shared
person.
responsibility, most likely, because they're going to try to get away with whatever they can, right? So
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people honestly don't know better. I mean, how many of your managers have actually been trained on how to manage? Most of us haven't been. I went to business school. I can tell you, there is very little taught about how to manage people. Human
you manage.
resources is like, oh, we'll give you this soft class so that you have bandwidth to do statistics and microeconomics and accounting.
Hmm.
That's really how that's how it's talked about. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is just to lighten your load, but nothing important happens in there. And really, that was across the board. That was not just my business school. That was just how it was thought about. And
Hmm.
I think it's changing now.
I think
I
so. Yeah, I hope so. I would hope so.
I graduated 20 years ago, right? However, I would say that what hasn't changed is the importance of us being able to advocate for ourselves, which again is not something we're taught.
Mm-mm.
Although I do feel like our children's generation is getting it a lot better
I
than we did.
hope so. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I know for sure that I've, much to my own chagrin, I've allowed, and not just allowed, but like, really made space for my kids to have their yes be a yes and a no be a no, even if, their no is against my no, like giving them choices, and then also being able to say, you have agency here in this thing, right? One of
Mhm.
the things that we do is like, we don't do any tickling in my house when they were little, right? And that anything
Yes.
that, especially anything that concerns their body, they can go, no, I don't like that. And it's immediate, right?
Mhm.
And asking permission and that kind of thing. That's more of a consent situation, but it is still
It's a
learning to say
boundary.
no. It's learning to say no and giving them, because when I was a kid, that wasn't an option. Like dad wanted
Yes.
to come in and tickle you while it might have been fun, but maybe you didn't want it right then, or it's too much and blah, blah, blah. I personally don't like tickling because it didn't feel like you had control over
Mhm.
your say and what happened to you. Right. And
Yeah.
so in my upbringing, there was no like, do you want to be tickled right now?
Right.
And sometimes my boys would be saying no, right? And of course respect it. And sometimes they're like, yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, but
Oh, I
isn't
think
that so
they
much
like
more
it
fun when
more because it's not forced on them.
right? Because it's not forced. Then they want it. Yes. But yes, that's so those kinds of opportunities were not, you know, um shown or given examples of. And there's another word, modeled, that's the word I'm looking for.
Modeled,
That
yeah.
was not modeled at a young age for us, so I don't think we really didn't occur, so
Right.
like
Well, and I
so,
think that's what led us to this point is
mhm,
because we were told to respect our elders no matter what, right? Their
yep,
opinion is first. And we're telling our kids, no, you have agency. And I think that's the difference because another area that you and I know we've talked about this before personally, maybe not on camera, but we've talked about this before is that we don't force our children to say hug a relative or
mm-mm,
to give a false compliment,
no,
right? If someone gives them a gift, absolutely say thank you.
for sure,
You don't have to say, "Oh, this is the best thing ever," when
right,
you hate it,
yes,
and
yes,
you don't have to hug anybody that
you
you
don't
don't
want
want
to,
to.
right,
Whereas
100%,
we were
yeah,
100% forced.
mhm,
Hug so and so, give so
yeah,
and so a kiss on the cheek, blah, right? And
mhm,
so I think our children's ability to recognize and guard their boundaries is because we
for
allowed them to
sure.
do that early.
I know, and so that's the thing, like, this idea of boundaries to begin with was, like, a brand new concept to me in some ways. Like, I understood what the word meant, you know what I mean? But as far as, like, creating my own, holding them, which I think is even harder, right? Like,
Mhm.
you can set a boundary, but then, like, when somebody crosses your boundary, like, then what do you do? Like, how are you gonna uphold that boundary, right?
Mhm.
I think that's, like, a whole nother level of skill set. Um, but the concept of it just in general, like 15 years ago, I was kind of like, what's a boundary? Like, and, and I'm not skilled at it in any shape. Like, it doesn't come naturally to me. I see friends of mine who are really good at it. And it's important though. So the importance of saying no, number one, is to protect yourself. But I think that even like a step before that is to like understand, you know, you don't want to just go around going like, no, 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 right? Although
Mhm.
that is kind of fun too when you first learn about boundaries. You're just kind of like, no, I say no to everything. You're like
You're
a toddler.
skipping,
Yeah, you're
you're
like a toddler.
in
You're
a
like, no to that
musical.
and no to that. Um, right, exactly. Is to understand what you're, I think it's first like a values conversation. It's first like something
Absolutely.
understanding like what you value. And that
Mhm.
really gives clarity to like, I'm a yes to this and I'm a no to that.
Yes.
And that kind of thing. I think so. I think it's like there's like a pre-step before you're kind of like,
Mhm.
what's my boundary? And then, you have life experiences that teach you a lot of times what you will and will not accept. Right. So there's that too.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, Natasha and I would say that if boundaries are something you struggle with, we would suggest to you to get really clear about your values. And
Mhm.
we have this is an exercise that we lead our students through where you identify and you hierarchically order your values. And I have my values right here. They're in my planner at all times. They are in hierarchical order. And so I have them written right here. And the beauty of the hierarchical order is that when your values are in conflict, and a very simple example that we always give is let's say you have a birthday party to go to and a work event suddenly comes up. Well, where are your values surrounding loved ones versus work? And look, only you can decide that. We're
Yeah.
all in different stages of
There's
life.
no right or wrong answer.
No right
Yeah.
or wrong answer.
Mm.
And so it makes it very easy to be clear about what your choices are. The other thing too is that I wouldn't necessarily call it a value, but it is about what I do value. Like for instance, unless it's a friend of mine playing music,
Mm.
I just do not enjoy musical events. not I love musicals. I don't
But like
like concerts.
concerts, yeah,
Yes.
right, yeah.
I don't like concerts, especially big concerts. Now, I've been proven wrong because my husband did get me tickets to see Prince back in the day at the Staples Center, but Prince is like
Exception to the rule.
when it
Yeah,
came to
exception to that
my like
rule.
love of music, it's
Mhm.
like everything is like bleh and then you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
so
mean,
that was amazing. And so, that's kind of a way of thinking about like things that you value, except that our values are much bigger, higher, bigger scale. They're more overarching, such as, I value personal and professional excellence. I value industry and consistency. So you see, these are much broader terms, but you can also just think about like little things you value. So when people ask me, hey, do you want to go to XYZ thing? I'm just like, meh, I'd rather save the money. I don't really have fun with those things. So I'm just gonna like, hey, let's have dinner. I'd love to have dinner with you. But that is just not really my thing. And that's just a really easy boundary for me because I don't enjoy it.
mhm,
And you're allowed to say no to things you don't enjoy.
100%.
You don't have to go to like
Mhm.
no one I don't think anyone's deriving any pleasure from you not enjoying it. So
Yeah.
don't don't go. And it was funny because this morning I actually picked up this book that I have called The Seven Principles. It's a very short book, teeny tiny. You can probably tell by the title, The Seven Principles. It's very short. And principle number 4, be able to say no. And I'm just going to read it really quickly. If something isn't or doesn't feel right for you, say no without guilt or pressure. The ability to say no is a gift to yourself towards living in pure alignment.
Right. I mean, the thing too is like, I think sometimes, and I know for me, I'll speak for myself, because like I am not super great at boundaries yet. I'm much better than I was, right? But I just want to say that there's also the operating of the FOMO aspect, right? If you say no to something, then you're missing
Mhm.
out on it. But I would assert or put forth that like saying no to something opens you up to something else, right? It's not about missing out on that thing so much as it is like Allegra's example, right? So not going to that concert that she's invited to, opens her up to the possibility of maybe having a great game night at home with her family, or you know what I mean? Like, so you're never really losing out on something,
No,
like, so
you
no
get
does
to do
not,
something else.
yeah, that means you get to commit to something else. Um, and that is, that's my husband loves to tell this story about like you think that by saying kind of yes to everything all the time, you're keeping your options open, but you never really get to fully experience any of those things until you choose something else. And once you choose something else, that means no to the other things, right? So
Mhm.
it does feel like that gives me saying no, right? So saying no to other things does help open you up to other opportunities, possibilities as well, right? You want to think of it as like a necessarily.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is,
No, it's
right? But
saying yes to something else.
saying yes to something else, right?
Either in that exact moment or
Right.
with those dollars that you would have spent doing that thing.
Right.
And Natasha and I talk all the time in our trainings about framing and the value of
Mhm.
reframing things. And instead of fear of missing out, you get to miss out on that
Mhm.
thing. And maybe not get to miss out. Maybe it's just like you like I think it's cool that that thing exists,
Right.
but it's
That's
not
the
for me.
right. Yes, yes, yes. You're like, "I'm so glad to know that that's going on in the world and
Yeah.
that's happening, and I don't have to be there to know that it's happening and to, on some level, enjoy that that's happening." It's
Yeah.
kind of like that thing from Schitt's Creek, Alexa, when she's like, that's so" what did she say? She's like,
I love that for
"I love
you.
that for you," right? That's such a great way to set a boundary, and so,
Yeah. I
"I love
love that
that
for
for
you.
you." That's a great way to say no, by the
Yeah.
way.
Well, and also too, think about the people you're missing out on knowing by going to things that you actually enjoy, because you'll meet other people that enjoy those, and you'll have some other friendships and experiences that you were meant to have, and you're missing those because you're spending that time or money on something else.
Yeah, the
And
power of no.
And because we're big on helping moms avoid burnout, I just want to bring this all back to
Mhm.
the importance of saying no to avoid burnout. You can't say yes to everything
Impossible.
and take care of yourself.
I've tried it. It doesn't work. I can just tell you right now. I think people who are listening to this or watching this can relate probably to trying to
Squeeze it
make
all
every
in.
squeeze it all in, make everyone happy, say yes to everything. Yeah. Not it's like literally not possible. So,
And I think the reason why I'm good at boundaries is because I have an extremely low tolerance for being unhappy. Like I'm just, for those of you who know what my name means, my name literally means happy. And I forget what the term is for people who are what their name is. I know there's a term for it
oh, for
because,
real?
well, because I used to work with Diana Nyad,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Nyad
Mhm.
is like a swimming spirit of some sort, and she was the one who told me about it. And she said, "I think that's why you're so happy because your name means happy." And I said, "Could be. Who knows?" But for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I have an extremely low tolerance for being unhappy. And the benefit of that is that it has, like, if I don't like something, I'm like, okay, done, off my list. Um,
Yeah, I love that. I love that's like that's an Allegra brand. Low tolerance for being unhappy. I have to say this reminds me of it also just like translates in my mind to like Allegra ain't gonna take your bullshit, number one. Number two, I am I'm a member, proud member of a Facebook group that's called Gen X Women Are Tired of Your Shit. And I do think like as you get older, you just kind of also naturally
right.
know more and more about yourself because of
Yourself.
the experience you've had and
Mm-hmm.
what you will and will not accept and tolerate. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's gotten easier over time for me to say no. It's gotten easier for me to be clear about what I do and do not like or want.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully that is the case for y'all as well. And if you're younger than us,
Mm-hmm.
try to cultivate that sooner rather than later. Get yourself get practicing saying no. I had a really great experience. To share this really quickly, I had become friends with a group of people, and one of the people in this group, um, he would he could see that I had like that I wanted to say yes to a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
He would say, he's like, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say no to me, like, and have it not be a bad experience. You know what I mean? Right. And so,
Oh, what a kind person.
yeah, so I mean, like we were joking around with it and stuff, and so, but he would be like, "Do you want this?" And I'm like, "No," like I was joking around, but that helped me when somebody asked me out a few weeks later, and I was a no to this person, but I would have been like, "Oh, okay, I'll go over a cup of coffee with you, whatever," right? And I was just like, "No, I don't want to," and he was delighted by that answer because he was just like, "I just needed the." He was going through a divorce, and he was like, or separating. He's like, I just needed to get over this hump of asking someone out. He's like,
Uh-huh.
I was just so terrified of it. It wound up being like this magical no experience. Like I got to say no to him. He got to try asking someone out. And we both knew it wasn't a really good fit, right?
Right.
But he got to have that experience and get over that fear of like asking someone. I was like, now I can go ask out somebody I really wanted.
Right.
Anyway, but so I don't know, like if there's somebody who wants to play the no game with you, it can be fun and lighthearted.
Or
No doesn't have to be a drag.
or it sounds like you two were exactly what you needed to be at that moment. So
100%.
what if when someone asks you, you think to yourself, what if that person really is just practicing for the next person they really want to ask to that thing? And that just gives you permission to say no in a really easy way.
100%. Yeah, I mean, he and I immediately started like laughing about it. He was
Laughing,
like, he's
yeah.
like, he's like, as soon as I asked you, I realized that what I needed to do, what you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I felt all this freedom to say no to him. He was just also a great guy, like this the people who
Right. You felt very
offer up.
safe.
Yeah, you felt like you knew that whatever answer you gave was going to be, like you're
Right.
okay with whatever answer, so, but it was a really great experience. So, just you can think about no as being fun, also lighthearted, or like, and I think most importantly, saying no to one thing means a yes to something else, and that can open up possibilities rather than diminish your possibilities.
Great. So on that note, thank you for joining us. We are here every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. You can also listen to the replay the Harness the Power of Planning podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you haven't already downloaded, we're all about helping moms avoid burnout in order to reclaim your own time and energy. And we have there was an amazing 60-page report that came out of Ohio State. We're sure you didn't read it because who has time to read that? So we put together a 1-page cheat sheet for you. You can get that at tinyurl.com/BYWD stop burnout. We'll put that in the show notes
in the comments.
and
Yeah. So it'll help you determine whether you're in burnout, how much burnout you might be in. And then we also give you 3 really workable tips that will help you avoid burnout or help you mitigate your burnout.
Yeah. Less than 2 minutes, these 3 tips.
Right.
Total.
Exactly.
Like not 2 minutes each, like literally less than 2 minutes for all of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
check that out.
Thank you for listening. It's a joy for us to be here. And, if there are other ways we can help you avoid burnout, let us know. Put it in the comments. We always read them. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen.